You know exactly when you do it. The worship starts, and everyone around you begins to move. And you watch for a second. You calculate, and then you lift your hands. Not because something in you rose to meet the music, because enough time had passed that not lifting them would be conspicuous. You close your eyes, not to focus, to hide. You move your lips to the words without the words meaning anything. You've been doing this for a while now. The automatic amen when the pastor makes a point. The expression you've learned to wear during prayer. Eyes closed, slight nod, the look of someone tracking. The greeting in the lobby. The how are you and the I'm good, really blessed. None of it is malicious. None of it is even fully conscious. It's just what happens when you've been in the building long enough to learn the language, and the body has learned to speak it even when the heart isn't. And the specific exhaustion of that, of performing the interior life you used to have, or wish you had, or think you're supposed to have, is something you can't say out loud. Because the place where you'd say is the place where you're performing. And so you keep going, week after week, hands raised, eyes closed, saying the right things. And no one knows. And the loneliness of being seen without being known, in the one place that was supposed to be different, is one of the heaviest things you've ever carried quietly. Here's the part that's hard to admit. You don't entirely want to stop. Not the performance, you're tired of that, but the belonging that comes with it. Because the moment you stop performing is the moment the gap becomes visible. And a visible gap in a community that values spiritual authenticity is a dangerous thing. You watch what happens when people are honest about their doubt. The careful responses, the extra prayer meetings, the concerned looks that follow you for months. The subtle shift in how people relate to you once they know you're not where they thought you were. And you calculated, probably without realizing it, that the performance was cheaper than the honesty. So you kept the performance and told yourself it was temporary, that eventually the feeling would return and you wouldn't be faking anymore. But the feeling hasn't returned, and the temporary became a year, and then longer. And now the performance is so practiced that sometimes you can't tell where it ends and where you begin. And then the service ends, and you drive home, and in the quiet of the car, the first moment you've been alone since you walked in, something in you exhales. Not relief that worship is over, relief that the performance is. And that exhale is the most honest thing that happened to you all day. Here's something nobody says about the performance. It started as protection, not deception. You weren't trying to fool anyone. You were trying to stay in the room. And staying in the room required speaking the room's language. And the room's language was the language of felt experience, of worship that moves you, of faith that produces visible signs, of God's presence landing in real time and showing on your face. And you didn't have that. Not consistently. Maybe not at all anymore. So you did what anyone does when they don't speak the native language, but need to function in the country. You learned to approximate, to produce the outputs that the environment expected. Not because the environment asked you to fake it, because the environment didn't have a category for what you were actually experiencing. There was no language for, I'm here, I believe something, I just can't feel any of it right now. The only available scripts were for people who felt too much and people who had walked away. You were neither. You were in the middle, in a place the culture around you didn't have words for. And without words, you borrowed the closest available script. And the performance was born, not from dishonesty, from the absence of an honest option. But here's what the performance has been costing you that you might not have named. It's not just the exhaustion of maintaining it. It's what it's preventing. Because here's what's true about the real version of you, the one that drives home in the quiet exhale. That version is exactly what the church was supposed to be for. Not the perform version, the real one, the one that shows up empty, that goes through the motions without the feeling, that is present in the body and absent somewhere deeper. That version needs something the perform version can never receive. Because the perform version is already fine. It's already doing the right things. It has no need that the community can see, and a need that can't be seen can't be met. So week after week, the perform version gets fellowship, and the real version goes home untouched. Not because no one cares, because no one knows. The exhaustion you're feeling isn't just from faking it. It's from being unreached for this long. Think about someone who speaks two languages. Their first language, the one they learned as a child, the one they dream in, the one that carries the full weight of their interior life. And a second language, functional, fluent enough, but always a translation. And they live in a place where only the second language is spoken. So they translate every conversation, every relationship, every moment of connection, running the real thing through a filter before it comes out. And people think they know them, but the person knows that what's being shared is always the translation. And the original, the thing before the filter, has never been heard in this place. You've been speaking a second language in church, the language of performance, of approximated worship, of borrowed scripts, and people think they know you, but they know the translation. And the original, the real version, the one in the quiet of the car on the way home, has been waiting for someone to speak its language, for a place where the translation isn't required, for permission to come as the first language, unfiltered, unperformed, exactly as it is. That permission exists. It always has. It just hasn't been offered in the language you've been hearing. The Pharisees were the best performers in the room. They knew the language. They had the posture. They had the visible markers of interior devotion. And Jesus said something that should stop every performance cold. These people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. Not, these people are terrible. Not, they should be removed from the community. He named the gap, the specific gap between the exterior and the interior, the lips and the heart. And he called it what it was. Not to condemn the people, to name the tragedy of a faith that lives only on the surface. Because what God has always wanted was never the performance. It was the heart, even a broken one, even a doubting one, even one that can't feel anything and doesn't know what it believes anymore. That heart, unperformed, unfiltered, honest about the distance, is the one he responds to. Because the performance protects you from the vulnerability of being actually known. And actually being known is the only way to be actually met. David danced before God in a way that his wife found undignified. He wrote psalms that accused God and wept before God and was completely unguarded before God. And God called him a man after his own heart. Not because his exterior was impressive, because his interior was present. The unperformed heart is the one God has always been after. Even yours, especially yours. So here's what I want to say to the version of you that drove home in the exhale. You are not a hypocrite. You're someone who learned to survive in an environment that didn't have a category for where you were. You found the closest available script and you used it. And it kept you in the room when leaving would have been easier. That's not nothing, but the script was never supposed to be permanent. And the version of you that lifts hands without feeling and says amen without meaning it and smiles at the pastor on the way out, that version has been trying to belong. And belonging matters. But there's a kind of belonging you can't access from inside the performance. The kind where you are actually known. Where the real version, not the translated one, not the approximated one, is the one that gets to be in the room. You don't have to blow up the performance today. You don't have to stand up in the middle of service and announce the gap. But somewhere, in a conversation with one person, in a prayer that doesn't use the borrowed language, in a single moment where you let the real version say what's true, the performance can begin to cost less than the honesty. And you can begin to be known instead of seen, which is what you've been needing all along. The whole time you were lifting hands you didn't feel. You were hoping someone would see through them. Before you go, type these words in the comments. I'm more than a version I show up as. Not as a confession, as a beginning. Because the real version of you, the one in the car, the exhale, the one that has never made it fully into the room, that version is welcome, more than the performed one. Always has been.